Today, we're going to take a look into arithmetic sequence, but we're going to pay closer attention to some examples that might have some missing terms. The main idea here is that we can use the concept of the common difference to find missing terms in an arithmetic sequence. Just a vocabulary check. The common difference is what we introduced before as the addition or the subtraction pattern. And we know that an arithmetic sequence is any sequence that follows an addition or subtraction pattern. This is something that was introduced to us on the previous lesson, but it's good to review. So we can use that pattern to figure out missing terms. And we know that that pattern it's either of addition or subtraction because it's arithmetic by definition. Let's get started here. Now, let's remember that the explicit formula for any arithmetic sequence has this model, where an is the nth term, a1 is the first term, n is just the term that we're interested on, and d is the common difference. Notice that the previous examples, they were always giving us one term after the other, and then the one that follows after that. But take a closer look into the next example here. Take a look at example A. Let's not worry about B yet, but let's concentrate on A. One thing to notice about A is that they're only giving us the first term and the fourth term. We don't know what the second or the third term is. In this example, it says that let's assume that the following is an arithmetic sequence. We want to find out what the common difference is, what the first term is, and what the explicit equation is. It's easy to identify what the first term is. The first term is 2. The first term is 2. It's given to us. Now, we know what the first term is. We need to figure out what the common difference is, and then we can write down the explicit equation. But in order for us to figure out what the common difference is, we need to know what the second term and what the third term is. One way to figure it out is the following. We know that the sequence is arithmetic. So that means that there has to be a common difference to go from the first to the second term. We got the second, we have a value of 2. We add the common difference, then we're at the second term. We add the common difference once more, and now we are the third term. We add the common difference once more, and now we reach the fourth term. So that means that if we start at 2 and we add the common difference 3 times, we're going to end up at the value of 11. We can actually write an equation for that. That means that 2, which is where we started, plus 3 common difference, that will give us a value of 11. This is a simple equation. Notice that the value for d, which is a common difference, is what we're interested on. So let's solve for that. To do that, we're going to subtract 2 to both sides. So now this is going to give us a value of 9. Let's solve for the common difference. So that means that the common difference is 3. We know that the common difference is 3. Let's see if that is true. Let's double check. 2 plus 3, that gives us 5. So that means that the second term should have been 5. Plus 3, that gives us 8. Plus 3, that gives us 11. So notice that now we know what the second and the third term is. If we take a look at what is it that we were looking at, we know what the common difference is, which is 3. We know what the first term is, so now we need to write down the explicit equation. And to write that, we know that it looks something like this. So the explicit equation has a value of an equals a1, which we know is 2, plus, we don't know what n is, so we're just going to leave it as n minus 1 multiplied by the common difference, which we saw it to be 3. So here we have found the first term, the common difference, and the explicit equation. So we're done with example A. Let's look at example B now. And let's not worry about example 6C yet. If we take a look at example B, we can see the following. Well, we have the same problem. We don't know what the second, third, or fourth term is, but we do know one thing. We do know that this is an arithmetic sequence, which means that it follows a common difference. The question is, how many common differences do we need to add to reach 219? Let's check. We start at 3. If we add a common difference, we are the second term. If we add another common difference, then we're in the third. You added one more, you're on the fourth, but you want to go all the way to 19. Oops, it's supposed to be default common difference, which means that we can write an equation for this. We start at 3, and if we add 4 common differences, we're going to end up at a value of 19. Let's solve for the common difference. Subtract 3. So now we have 4d. This is equal to 16. Let's solve for the common difference by dividing by 4. So now this has a value of 16, so that's 4. Let's double check that this actually makes sense. 3 plus 4, so that's 7. 7 plus 4, so that's 11. 11 plus 4, this gives us 15. And 15 plus 4, that's 19. So notice that the sequence checks now. We know what the sequence is. Now we can actually answer the question. We're looking for the first term, which is 3. We're looking for the common difference, which we found it to be 4. Once you know the first term, once you know the common difference, then we can write down the explicit formula, where the explicit formula, again, the explicit formula looks like this. Let me move the calculator here. an equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. So we're going to have an equals a1, which we found it to be 3, plus n minus 1 times the common difference, which we found it to be 4. So we're done with this example because, again, all they were asking us was figure out what the first term is, which is 3, figure out what the common difference is, which is 4, and find out the explicit formula. Not all examples are going to be as straightforward as this one here, because now let's see what we have here. In this example, it's a little bit different because they're not giving us the first term right away. So we have to look for it. But let's use the information that they're giving us here. It's supposed to be a comma here. We know that we have an arithmetic sequence. So we're going to have just a regular sequence here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, because we're going all the way to the sixth term. What do we know? We know that the third term is 10. So 1, 2, 3, we know that the 10th term is here. And we also know that the sixth term is 16. Let's figure out how can we find the first term and the common difference. Again, let's just use what we have. We know that if we start at 10, and if we add the common difference once, 2, and 3 times, we're going to end up at 16. Let's actually write an equation for that. So that means that 10 plus 3 common difference, this is equal to 16. Let's solve for the common difference by taking away 10. This is 6. Let's divide it by 3. So we know that the common difference has a value of 2. That's perfect. We need to know what the first term is. But before we do that, let's actually double check to make sure it's true. So 10 plus the common difference, that's 12, plus another common difference, that's 14, plus another, that's 16. So that works great. Now, how can we figure out what the first term is? We know that if you want to find out the next term, you add a common difference, which means that if you want to go in the sense backwards, we want to subtract the common difference. If you want to go backwards, you want to know what the term came before, you don't add the common difference, but you subtract, which means that the second term is going to be 8. And the one that came before that, it's 6. Which means that the first term has a value of 6. We know the common difference, we know the first term, we can actually write down the explicit formula now, which has a value of an, which is equal to the first term, which we know is 6, plus n minus 1 times the difference, which we know that it has a value of 2. So now, here's your entrance ticket. Assume the following sequences are arithmetic, and given the following information, find the common difference, the first term, an explicit equation, and do not find out the indicator term. This is a typo. Just find out the first term, the common difference, and an explicit equation here.